I saw the Lord. I sought the Lord. I keep wanting to say Saul. And he heard and he answered. That's why I trust him. That's why I trust. I love that bridge. Anyway, Rock, how you doing, my buddy? My
Actually, I'm
guy.
doing good, man. You know, God is good all the time. All the time, God is good. Mike, how you feeling, man?
Well,
Well,
hey, bro, I'm feeling really good. All right, like
mm-hmm.
I'm feeling really good right now.
That's what's up.
I'm like on cloud 12. I don't know why we say cloud 9. Where's cloud 9 at? But yeah, no, I'm feeling real good, man. Everything's going well right now. Everything's on the up and up. Like, I'm really cheerful right now, as people, like some of the listeners might be able to hear. Um, I'm using filler words. That's not good. But I'm
Right, Mike,
yeah,
what's wrong with you? Get it together.
I know, right? But yeah, I'm feeling great right now, bro. And I did it again. I need to calm down. Calm
You
down. You're
do.
too excited, sir. You're too
Right.
excited. You're speaking before you're thinking. That's never a good thing. But yes, I'm feeling great. The Lord is incredible. The Holy Spirit is amazing. I have this. I love my relationship with the
Mm-hmm.
Spirit of God.
Right.
I think that's not something we talk about enough. Like, we talk about you have to develop a relationship and all these things, but like, we don't talk about what it kind of looks like. And like, what it looks like for me is, I can tell him everything. I can ask him whatever needs to be asked, and I can get an answer. You know, I know that certain things are going to be done. Like, it's not even within a question. Like, every time stuff's been financially, been getting kind of rough, I always know that I'm going to be taken care of. I just don't know how.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that I can have the confidence that everything gonna be all right, even if I don't know how it's gonna happen.
That's true.
I love that he's here to encourage me,
Mm-hmm.
to help in any area of my life, to give me wisdom. That's a big one.
That wisdom
Seeking
right there
out
for
for
sure.
wisdom is such a big one. I love that he is there to be utilized as that resource. I love that he's the comforter. I love that, there's things that I might not be able to go to go to everybody else with, that I can bring to him. Oh my goodness, do I sound like I'm in love? I feel like I'm sounding like I'm in love right now, and that's kind of weird to me. Remember, I'm supposed to be hardcore. But yeah, man, just I love the Holy Spirit, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I love God. I love my relationship with Him, and I love deepening that relationship and continuing to grow. I don't think there's anything like it. There's nothing like it, like that I can. There's nothing that I can point to where I can say, man, like this is. It's like this. Like, there's nothing like that, bro. Like, some of these things are kind of just like indescribable, you know. Oh, it's like that
Mm-hmm.
Kira Sheard song, "Indescribable."
That's true. That's ever true.
Yeah, so. Oh my goodness, people. I know y'all are probably like, yo, what are we doing right now? This is not even on a regular podcast. Let the Holy Spirit move and show my adoration for him. Welcome to the Godman podcast once again. Y'all know what it is. This is Mike.
And yo, what this your boy Rock?
And today, y'all know we coming back with Bible study again. We are going to the next 4 chapters of the book of Exodus.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
The book
Can't
of
wait.
leaving. The book
Leaving.
of getting up out of the Pharaoh's place and getting up out of that land because we ain't supposed to be there.
Cause we moving.
Exactly. Moving on up. Just not necessarily to the east side.
Now, not necessarily to the east side, but it's somewhere better than Egypt.
You right about that. Somewhere better than Egypt. I don't know where we going, but we not staying here.
We cannot stay here. No,
And
bro.
little did we know we're going into the wilderness. Their fault. It's their fault. The wilderness part is their fault.
It's definitely their fault.
Y'all wanted to be hard-headed.
Yeah, but who's not?
Y'all wanted to be hard-headed. Y'all want to listen. Can't believe this. Y'all wanted to be so hard-headed. God said, I can't take none of y'all. All of y'all gotta just die out here.
I'm like every single one of y'all, man. Only only your offspring and your next generation will make it.
Yeah, basically. I think the only ones that were allowed to go in was Joshua. Yeah. Joshua was like the only one allowed to go in.
All right, you gonna start off with 13, bro?
Yeah, let's do that. Before we do that, y'all, like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. Man, I already wasted enough time. We 6 minutes in. Consecration of the firstborn. The Lord said to Moses, consecrate to me all the firstborn, whatever is first to open the womb among the people of Israel, both man and beast is mine. Then Moses said to the people, remember this day which you came out of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. For by a strong hand the Lord brought you out from his place. No leavened bread shall be eaten. Today is the month of Abib. You are going out. And when the Lord brings you to the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, which he swore to your fathers to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey, you shall keep this service in this month. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, and on the seventh day there shall be a feast to the Lord. Unleavened bread shall be eaten for 7 days. No leavened bread shall be seen with you, and no leaven shall be seen with you in all your territory. You shall tell your son on that day, it is because what the Lord did for me when I came out of Egypt. And it shall be to you a sign in your hand, and as a memorial between your eyes, that the law of the Lord may be in your mouth. For with a strong hand the Lord has brought you out of Egypt. You shall therefore keep this statute at its appointed time from year to year. When the Lord brings you into the land of the Canaanites, as he swore to give you and your fathers, and shall give it to you, you shall set apart to the Lord the first years opens, all you shall set apart to the Lord all that the first opens the womb. Lord, that was a difficult way of saying all the first animals that ever come out of an animal. The firstborn from any animal. And the firstborn of your animals that are males shall be the Lord's. Every firstborn of a donkey you shall redeem with a lamb. And if you do not redeem it, you shall break its neck. Every firstborn of man amongst your sons you shall redeem. And when it comes time to, and when in time to come your son asks you, what does this mean? You shall say to him, by a strong hand the Lord brought us out of Egypt and from the house of slavery. For when Pharaoh stubbornly refused to let us go, the Lord killed all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both the firstborn man and the firstborn animals. Therefore I sacrifice to the Lord all the males that first open the womb, but all of the firstborn of my sons I redeem. It shall be a mark on your hand or frontlets between your eyes, for by a strong hand the Lord brought us out of Egypt. Now he giving them this speech and they ain't even started leaving yet. When Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them by the way of the land of the Philistines, although that was near. For God said, lest the people change their minds when they see war and return to Egypt. But God led the people around by the way of the wilderness towards the Red Sea. And the people of Israel went up out of the land of Egypt equipped for battle. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for Joseph had made the sons of Israel solemnly swear, saying, God will surely visit you, and you shall carry up my bones with you from here. And they moved on from Succoth and encamped in Etham at the edge of the wilderness. And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of a cloud to lead them along the way, and by night in a pillar by fire to give them light, that they might travel by day and by night. A pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night did not depart from the people. I think a couple of things in the scripture get to me, right? So one of the things for me is God, the different reasons God proved himself by marching them to the Red Sea. All right. So if you look at, and let me pull it up real quick. I'm about to pull it up. If you look at a map of Egypt, and come on, zoom out enough. I'm trying to get from America, the United States, all the way across. Wow, Bermuda is really out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. All right. I'm in Africa. Ooh, that's a lot of desert. All right, so if you look at Egypt, right, and the land of Egypt, where that is, everything's split, and like where the Nile is and all this, right? So most of them lived up by Cairo because that's where all the farmable land is for the most part. Then when you go south, you get towards the deserts. He said that he did not bring them over across basic. I'm forgetting what this is called, but the Sinai. He didn't bring them over the Sinai, over that Sinai Peninsula right there, because it's right there where you could have got in. Mm-hmm. But instead, he took them around into the wilderness. He said, towards the Red Sea. So if you look at the description of that, like he really took them like southeast, right? And it said he took them east. He took them southeast towards the Red Sea. And he said he took them there so that people wouldn't go through the land of the Philistines and they wouldn't get afraid. He already knew his people was going to be fearful. That's the thing that gets me. God already knew his people were going to be afraid when they come into these certain places and they come against certain opposition, because they haven't had the faith yet. Their faith has not been developed and tested yet. So he's going to work a miracle. He's already going to work a miracle. So what do you say? I'm not going to take him over here. I'm going to take him around to the Red Sea. Why? Because we know later he's going to part that Red Sea. They're going to cross. It's going to be something they see that, they're able to identify as a miracle and see the power of God again, the strong hand of God that he keeps reminding them of. And then all of the stuff about the firstborns and everything, he's letting them know now before we even get out the land. Your firstborns, males, your firstborns are all going to be consecrated unto me. Your firstborn animals that come out, your firstborn sons will be consecrated to me. All y'all know you're about to get all your sons are going to end up getting circumcised. Mm-hmm. And then he tells them about the feast and to make sure to remember this day. Make sure you eat unleavened bread. Remember what you have to eat and how you are going to honor this, and remember me and what I did for you coming out of the land of Egypt. Before you even leave, I'm going to have to drill these statutes in your head that you're going to remember this and do these things. And then that pillar of fire by night and a cloud by day, a pillar of a cloud by day, to guide them to where they need to go. Now I'll tell you this, Rodney, what does a pillar of a cloud look like?
A pillar of a cloud. Is that the one that looks like one of the? I guess it's like the. I guess in my mind, it looks like how the what keeps the Roman buildings like stayed up, like in Greece or the other stuff.
Right, right. But when you're talking about a pillar of a cloud, you're talking about just like this big thing coming down, bro. Does that not just sound like a? Does that not sound like what a what do you call it? Oh my goodness, I am forgetting everything today. Hold on. Uh, like one of those funnel clouds, right? God, from what I'm reading right now, it really sounds like God basically from in the daytime was here's basically a tornado in front of you. Follow that where it's going, but not a tornado because obviously all that blowing up all the sand, they wouldn't be able to see anything. But like take this cloud that looks like a tornado, and this you're gonna follow this where it goes. That's where I'm leading you. You're not gonna stop at night. I'm gonna have a fire now to replace it, and you're gonna follow that at nighttime. So for me, that also says it speaks to a point of when you're getting out of something, there's no rest until you're out of it. You can't stop to. It's not time to stop and try to get rest and try to get beauty sleep. You got to keep pushing while he's trying to bring you out of something. Like this is the actual process of being delivered. It's going to be a process that's long and kind of arduous, and it's going to take a lot of energy, and you're not going to get the sleep you want.
That's right.
Anything you got to say about that?
Actually, no, not really.
All right,
Like
great. You
anything.
got chapter 14 then.
Dang, you had to cut me off. Shoot, all that talking you did, I could have said no. I didn't got no more.
Love you, Rob.
Read. Okay.
Read.
Then the Lord gave the instructions to Moses: order the Israelites to run back and camp by Pihahiroth between Migdal and the sea. Camp there along the shore across the Baal-zephon. Then Pharaoh will think the Israelites are confused. They are trapped in the wilderness. And once again, I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will chase after you. I planned this in order to display my glory through Pharaoh and his whole army. After this, the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. So the Israelites camped there as they were told. When word reached the king of Egypt that the Israelites had fled, Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds. What have we done, letting all those Israelite slaves get away? They asked. So Pharaoh harnessed his chariot and called up his troops. He took with him 600 of Egypt's best chariots, along with the rest of the chariots of Egypt, each with its commander. The Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. So he chased after the people of Israel who had left the fists raised in defiance. The Egyptians chased after them with all the forces in Pharaoh's army, all his horses and chariots, his charioteers, and his troops. The Egyptians caught up with the people of Israel as they were camped beside the shore near Pihahiroth, across from Baal-zephon. As Pharaoh approached, the people of Israel looked up and panicked when they saw the Egyptians overtaking them. They cried out to the Lord, and they said to Moses, "Why did you bring us here to die in the wilderness? Weren't there enough graves for us in Egypt?" Oh, this one all starts. What have you done to
Right. Already. You ain't even got out of Egypt yet. You already doing this?
You already complaining, my dude? Okay. What have you done to us? Why did you make us leave Egypt? Didn't we tell you this would happen while we were still in Egypt? We said, leave us alone. Let us be slaves in the Egyptians. It's better to be a slave in Egypt than a corpse in the wilderness. But Moses told the people, don't be afraid. Just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today. The Egyptians, you see, today will never be seen again. The Lord himself will fight for you. Just stay calm. That's a word right there.
Bro, isn't it crazy that they really were like, you know what? I'd rather be live in servitude and hard labor and be beaten in the hot sun of Egypt than to even try to get out because they might kill us.
Man, that mentality that you have is like that shows the comfortability like they had, and
No,
like
that shows how trapped they were in their own minds.
that's exactly what it was. They was definitely trapped, bro. It's like man, like can you imagine like once you get the slight taste of freedom, then once like once the adversity comes, you be like, oh man, I was fine where I was. I was comfortable. Like even though I was a slave, but it still wasn't that bad of a slave. Know what I mean? Now I'm just out here. Okay, I don't know what's going on.
I mean, he was a slave and he made things a little hard on us, but I had food, I had a house, I knew my schedule. I knew that if I didn't mess up, Master wouldn't beat and kill me.
No, that's exactly how it is for us. They be like, man, but that just how to show like that's how limitless God is and how just how important it is to like trust in Him where He's leading you to, and it's like, yo, I got you. So even like how much they was like trying to bash Moses for what he was doing, this, that, and the third, it's just like
And that's the other crazy thing is they keep coming after Moses like he's not giving his instructions straight from God.
exactly. He like, look, I'm just as worried as you are. I'm like, I gotta keep my cool.
He's like, bro, I didn't bring you out of here. God brought you out. Why are y'all blaming me? Y'all need to go. Man, listen.
Exactly. Okay, going to
Read.
verse 15. Read. So going to verse 15. Then the Lord said to Moses, why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to get moving. Pick up your staff and raise your hand over the sea. Divide the water so the Israelites can walk through the middle of the sea on dry ground. And I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they will charge in after the Israelites. My great glory will be displayed through Pharaoh and his troops, his chariots and his charioteers. When my glory is displayed through them, all Egypt will see my glory and know that I am the Lord. Then the angel of God, who had been leading the people of Israel, moved to the rear of the camp. The pillar of cloud also moved from the front and stood behind them. The cloud settled between the Egyptian and Israelite camps. As darkness fell, the cloud turned to fire, lighting up the night. But the Egyptians and Israelites did not approach each other all night. Then Moses raised his hand over the sea, and the Lord opened up a path through the water with a strong east wind. Then the wind blew all that night, turning the seabed, ooh, wow, seabed into dry
It's a
land.
bad.
The seabed. I look at that. Sorry, my seabed. I'm like, oh, seabed. It's a dry land. So the people of Israel walked through the middle of the sea on dry ground with walls of on water on each side. And the Egyptians, all of Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and charioteers chased them into the middle of the sea. But just before dawn, the Lord looked down on the Egyptian army from the pillar of fire and cloud, and he threw their forces into total confusion. He twisted their chariot wheels, making their chariots difficult to drive. Let's get out of here, away from the Israelites. The Egyptians shouted, the Lord is fighting for them against Egypt. When all the Israelites had reached the other side, the Lord said to Moses, raise your hand over the sea again. Then the waters will rush back and cover the Egyptians and their chariots and charioteers. So as the sun began to rise, Moses raised his hand over the sea, and the water rushed back into its usual place. The Egyptians tried to escape, but the Lord swept them into the sea. Then the waters returned and covered all the chariots and charioteers, the entire army of Pharaoh. Of all the Egyptians who had chased the Israelites into the sea, not a single one survived. But the people of Israel had walked through the middle of the sea on dry ground, as the water stood up like a wall on both sides. That is how the Lord rescued Israel from the hand of the Egyptians that day. And the Israelites saw that the bodies of the Egyptians washed up of the seashore. When the people of Israel saw the mighty power that the Lord had unleashed against the Egyptians, they were filled with awe before him. They put their faith in the Lord and his servant Moses.
There's so
Man.
much God in that scripture.
So, bruh, from the top of that to the bottom of that chapter, man, it's like, yo, it's, I don't know. As I'm reading this, one of the biggest things, like, it really takes faith to put your hand over a body of water, like just a body of water, and expecting that to just separate. And you have to walk through it. Like, you imagine there's probably like sea creatures in that water you could probably look side by side on, and then just imagine like Pharaoh and them like just looking at that and
You
so
just see a tiger shark to your left.
yeah, for real. Like, he's like, you looking to your left, you see a tiger shark, man. You probably see Nemo and Dory and all the other people. They all swimming in there, and then it's like, and like you're walking on like that seabed, like it's just so I don't know, that's so dope and amazing, and like even the fact that like God was with them, carrying them step by step until they made it to the other side, and then once they got off, and then that's when like Moses raised his hand. By the time the sun was by the time the sun was beginning ready to appear, then the water just swept up and then killed all of them, even though they tried to survive. But God said, nope, I can't have y'all come to this other side. Y'all not meant to be here. I said for them to be free, not for y'all to come over here.
What gets me about this scripture, right, is when they was in the wilderness and God purposely kind of like led them back to make it look like they were lost, and he told them, "I'm going to harden Pharaoh's heart again." Because these Egyptians are going to remember that I am God. For me, all right, so I try to come up with words to think about to describe this part of it, right? And like, we know that God is jealous. He has emotions. And he's shown a lot of different sides of him. Like I talk about in Ezekiel all the time, how he was mocking one of the kings and everything. For me, I look at this and I go, ooh, look, God got a little petty side. Mm-hmm. Because once again, he's doing this because, again, remembering the culture, Pharaoh claims to be God on earth. Mm-hmm. He has claims that he is God, and everybody worships him as God. So you would think that, all right, he's hardened their hearts enough. He killed all the firstborn. Like, that's a wrap. No, I was like, I'm not done yet. I'm going to make sure that they remember me. Mm-hmm. So what happens? I'm going to harden their hearts again. It's nighttime. Y'all going to be in between. And when they catch up to you, what does he do? I'm going to turn that pillar and put that cloud in between you guys and them so they can't cross. And y'all can make their camp. Y'all can make yours. Then at nighttime, it's going to turn in fire. Oh, by the way, the angel I had at the front of the vanguard is going to be back there too now. Let them try something.
Exactly.
And to go ahead and have Moses to open up the Red Sea the way he did, which is an incredible miracle in itself, and it shows the power of God, and that the power of God was flowing through and manifesting itself through a man.
Right.
Right? For that to happen, and then for him to go and they're crossing, and for God to go, you know what? I'm going to remove this pillar. I want them to chase you guys into the middle of the sea. Because like I said, they going to remember me in this land. And they chased them. Yeah, they chased them into the Red Sea. Moses and them get up out of there. And what happens? God says, all right, it's time. I'm going to jam all the wheels of their chariots that they're so proud of. Because remember, another historical part of this is riding horses, right? And cavalry was up until the invention of the cars and stuff like that. And it was such an important part of military strategy. The one thing the Egyptians did back then was they had chariots, and they had a lot of them, and they mastered riding chariots in the battle to where now, hey, I have one person driving, and I have two people on the side shooting you with arrows and cutting you with stabbing you with spears, you using the sword and whatnot. So now I just increased my ability to fight mounted, basically. So you have this super agile and mobile unit of people that are fighting that can quickly cross a battlefield and move around, and at the same time the combat ability of these people is not lessened at all. Right? So basically, like, so you're able to do that, and that was the pride and joy of Egypt, was their chariots. It even talks later in the Bible when they talk about different things, like Egypt is known for chariots. Right. And he jams all the wheels. So, they're known for this. Those chariots are A1 quality. They get up in there chasing after the Israelites, and the wheels all jam to where they won't move. God says, no, y'all about to be stuck. Sorry for your horses. And then he tells Moses, put your hand out and close the water. None of them are going to escape. This is the final thing I'm doing, bringing up out of here for them to remember who I am.
That's right. That's definitely right. Yeah, it's definitely a reminder where God informs him just like who I am and what I do and what I'm capable of doing. And I think this was like one of the biggest things that led up to like I definitely do think like when it comes to the different things where God did prove himself, like when it comes to like, the different plagues and turning the the rod into a snake. I think like one of these like this was like the biggest thing that Pharaoh has seen. He like, oh wow. And then once and like I say, God proved who he was, the sovereignty, the majesty, and the true power that he did have. Man, I know Pharaoh regretted that moment, and he had multiple times to surrender.
Yeah, but he wasn't going to, because remember, God hardened his heart.
Harden
God
his heart.
from the beginning of all this already decided Pharaoh was going to die. It was just, how is he going to die? God decided on a way for him to die that was going to glorify him better and increase the faith level of the Israelites. So, like I keep saying, it's a two-pronged thing with all of this that's going on. It is instruction to the Israelites and in a way for them to increase their faith and belief in the God. Because remember, every time something little happens, what they doing? Moses, why'd you bring us out here to die? It would have been better for us to stay in Egypt as slaves. So there's a certain mentality he has to break, and they have to learn who he is. But at the same time, he's also got to let the Egyptians know that everything you guys are worshiping is wrong, and I am the true God. I am he. I'm him.
Exactly.
So I look at it that way, and it's like, that's why, some people may go, well, how can you serve a God who just did all this stuff instead of just letting them go when he was going to let them go, and he kept making it harder? No, there's a reason. They were already guilty of this. Like, look what they did to his people. They were already guilty. Pharaoh was already guilty, basically, of atrocious crimes against humanity, right? If something like that happened nowadays, the international courts and all that would be trying to come after the man. That's God. God decided to pass judgment on Pharaoh and the Egyptians for what Pharaoh has done. There was so much blood spilled in that land of God's people unjustly. So yeah, he did what he did. He's going to get the glory in the end. So,
Amen.
chapter 15.
Read.
I was waiting for that. The Song of Moses. Then Moses and the people of Israel sang this song to the Lord, saying, I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and the rider he has thrown into the sea. The Lord is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation. This is my God. I will praise him, my father's God, and I will exalt him. By the way, this is in the book of Psalms as well. The Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and his host he cast into the sea, and his chosen officers were sunk in the Red Sea. The floods covered him. They went down to the depths like a stone. Your right hand, O Lord, O glorious in power. Your right hand, O Lord, shatters the enemy. In the greatness of your majesty, you overthrow your adversaries. You send out your fury. It consumes them like a stubble. At the blast of your nostrils, the waters piled up. The floods stood up in a heap. The deep congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I will pursue, I will overtake. I will divide the spoil. My desire shall have its fill of them. I will draw my sword. My hand shall destroy them. You blew your wind. The sea covered them. They sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who is like you, O Lord, among the gods? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in glorious deeds, doing wonders? You stretched out your right hand. The earth swallowed them. You led in your steadfast love the people whom you have redeemed. You have guided them by your strength to the holy abode. The people have heard, they tremble. Pangs have seized the inhabitants of Philistia. Now the chiefs of Edom dismayed. Trembling seizes the leaders of Moab. All the inhabitants of Canaan have melted away. Terror and dread fall upon them because of the greatness of your arm. They are still as a stone, till your people, O Lord, pass by, till the people pass by whom you have purchased. You will bring them in and plant them on your own mountain, the place, O Lord, which you have made for your abode, the sanctuary, O Lord, which your hands have established. The Lord will reign forever and ever. For when the horses of Pharaoh from his chariots and his horsemen went into the sea, the Lord brought back the waters of the sea upon them. But when the people of Israel walked on dry ground in the midst of the sea, then Miriam the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a tambourine in her hand, and all the women went out with her with tambourines and dancing. And Miriam sang to them, "Sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. For the horse and the rider he has thrown into the sea." Then Moses made Israel set out from the Red Sea, and they went into the wilderness of Shur. They went 3 days into the wilderness and found no water. When they came to Marah, they could not drink the water of Marah because it was bitter. Therefore it was named Marah. And the people grumbled against Moses, saying, "What shall we drink?" And he cried to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a log, and he threw it into the water, and the water became sweet. Then the Lord made for them a statute and a rule, and there he tested them, saying, "If you will diligently listen to the voice of the Lord your God, and do which is right in his eyes, and give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will put none of the disease on you that I put on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord your healer." Then they came to Elim, where there were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees, and they encamped there by the water.
Drop the mic one time.
Yeah, I like I said, for me, that first part of that was a psalm anyway. There's not much. It's this is praise.
Yeah,
This is
at this
basically
point,
praise. They were in
it
there
is definitely
praising the
praise.
Lord.
Exactly.
And then at the end, God, performed another miracle because they went through and there was no water. And they found some springs, but they were bitter. You couldn't
Exactly.
drink out of them. And God said, "Hey, Moses, take that log right there, throw it in the water, watch what happened." And the water became drinkable. And in fact, it said it became sweet. And it says 70 palm trees for them to sit under and everything. Well, I mean, that's a lot of people, so 70 palm trees ain't doing much. But the point of it is like he gave them cover to camp, and he started giving them instruction and said, "Listen, everything now that I brought you out, now we have a little calm time, let me talk to you. Everything that I did to the Egyptians, you don't have to worry about as long as you keep my statutes and my commandments that I'm going to give to you."
Nah, for real. As you were like reading that, like that was definitely praise in there. Like definitely just seeing what God has done through with them, and to think that would be a moment. Well, I know we're jumping ahead a lot as we are, because we know what's about to happen in the next few chapters. But to think like after a moment like that, after a big victory, you like, "God, I trust you. I won't doubt you. Like, no, you got this. You good. You good." But then it's like after what he has like redeemed and rescued and freed them from, like that's definitely amazing. That's definitely to see what he has done in that moment. And like I say, no, God is a guy that deserves praise. So no, why not? Why not?
Just for them to start turning around and acting like fools.
Like DAANG fools, dang fools. And look, before we go on to the next chapter, it was this post that I saw. It said, "Man, he said gospel is nothing but diss tracks to the devil."
You're right.
It's actually true. It's actually true.
Yeah, you're right. These are the gospel. Well, some of it is not much.
Yeah,
Like for the most part, no. I don't think you can really say that. And here's why:
Why?
we don't sing to address the devil. That's a waste of breath. Like he's defeated, so we don't sing to address him. And it can't be a diss track if we're not addressing him at all. No. Our focus isn't on dissing the devil. Our focus is on glorifying the name of the Lord. It's on worshiping and praising him. That's not a diss track towards anybody. That's worship. So that's why I can't necessarily agree with that. But we could write a diss track to the devil. That'd
We
be
could write
interesting.
it. Just like no, we could do that. We could flip that one time. Flip that one time for the one time.
That would be very interesting.
Right. I gotta put that on the list for real.
All right, Rodney.
Okay.
Read.
Okay. Finishing off with chapter 16. Then the whole community of Israel set out from Elim and journeyed into the wilderness of Sin between Elim and Mount Sinai. They arrived there on the 15th day of the second month, 1 month after leaving the land of Egypt. There too, the whole community of Israel complained about Moses and Aaron. Dang, man, y'all complain about us
Already.
already?
They just got out.
We just left, so now you're going mad at me? You gonna get mad at me doing this? Ah, man. If only it's like I picture this in my mind. It's like being on a road trip and then say, "Hey, make sure everybody go to the bathroom before we leave."
But it also shows you that they were some drama queens, bro.
Definitely drama queens for sure. Definitely drama
Because it's
queens for
always, oh, you guys brought us out just to die.
Hey, I was fine where I was at, bruh.
That's
Have
some drama
food.
queens.
I had a place to lay down. We're laying in rocks. If only the Lord had killed us back in Egypt, they moaned. There we sat around pots filled with meat and ate all the bread we wanted. But now, you brought us into this wilderness to starve us all to death. Then the Lord said to Moses, look, I'm going to rain down food from heaven for you. Each day the people can go out and pick up as much food as they need for that day. I will test them in this to see whether or not they will follow my instructions. On the sixth day, they will gather food, and when they prepare it, there will be twice as much as usual. So Moses and Aaron said to all the people of Israel, by evening you will realize it was the Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt. In the morning you will see the glory of the Lord, because he has heard your complaints, which are against him and not against us. What have we done that you should complain about us? Then Moses added, the Lord will give you meat to eat in the evening and bread to satisfy you in the morning, for he has heard all the complaints against him. What have we done? Yes, your complaints are against the Lord, not against us. Then Moses said to Aaron, announce this to the entire community of Israel. Present yourselves before the Lord, for he has heard your complaining. And as Aaron spoke to the whole community of Israel, they looked out toward the wilderness. There they could see the awesome glory of the Lord in the cloud. Then the Lord said to Moses, I have heard the Israelites' complaints. Now tell them, in the evening you have meat to eat, and in the morning you have all the bread you want. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God. That evening, vast numbers of quail flew in and covered the camp. And the next morning, the area around the camp was wet with dew. When the dew evaporated, a flaky substance as fine as frost blanketed the ground. The Israelites were puzzled when they saw it. What is it? They asked each other. They had no idea what it was. And Moses told them, it is the food the Lord has given you to eat. These are the Lord's instructions. Each household should gather as much as it needs. Pick up 2 quarts for each person in your tent. So the people of Israel did as they were told. Some gathered a lot, some only gathered a little. But when they measured it out, everyone had just enough. Those who gathered a lot had nothing left over, and those who gathered only a little had enough. Each family had what it needed. Then Moses told them, do not keep any of it until morning. But some of them didn't listen and kept some of it until the morning. But by then it was full of maggots and had a terrible smell. Moses was very angry with them. After this, the people gathered the food morning by morning, each family according to its need. And as the sun became hot, the flakes that they had picked up melted and disappeared. On the sixth day,
Hold on, Rodney.
you got someone
I
want to
just
chime
want to
in
point
on?
something out right there.
Go ahead.
the importance of him providing those quail and that manna, and every day it being a new thing. Every day you had to go out and collect more because and you couldn't try to keep stuff for later in advance or later down the line. There was no planning or trying to make a surplus. And the reason why is because at this point, God's now training the Israelites. And he's training them to be able to rely on him for everything, every day. Don't worry about where this is coming from. I got it daily for you. I'm going to feed you daily. It's like a parent, right? Like you don't want your kids trying to hoard, food inside their room because they're sitting here like, I don't know if I'm going to get fed tomorrow, how it's going to come. No, no, no. Parents like, I'm going to feed you every day. Like I'm your parents. You're going to be fed every day. Is just like as you trust your natural parents to make sure there's food on the table, breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. God was saying the same thing. You're going to trust that I'm going to have your food for you daily. Get as much as you need, but no more. And that's it. Don't keep nothing overnight. Don't try to grab anything extra because you have to learn to have faith and rely in me.
For sure. Definitely for sure.
You can continue. Read.
Oh, read. On the sixth day, they gathered twice as much as usual, 4 cords for each person instead of 2. Then all the leaders of the community came and asked Moses for an explanation. He told them, "This is what the Lord commanded. Tomorrow will be a day of complete rest, a holy Sabbath, a day set apart for the Lord. So bake or boil as much as you want today and set aside what is left for tomorrow." So they put some aside until morning, just as Moses had commanded. And in the morning, the leftover food was wholesome and good, without maggots or an odor. Moses said, "Eat this food today, for today is a Sabbath day dedicated to the Lord. There will be no food on the ground today. You may gather the food for 6 days, but the 7th day is a Sabbath. There will be no food on the ground for that day." Some of the people went out anyway on the 7th day, but they found no food. The Lord asked Moses, "How long will these people refuse to obey my commands and instructions? They must realize that the Sabbath day is the Lord's gift to you. That is why he gives you a 2-day supply on the 6th day, so there will be enough for 2 days. On the 7th day, you must each stay in your place. Do not go." I'm sorry, I'm getting a whole revelation as I'm reading this right now.
Go ahead,
Do,
bro.
do not go out to pick up food on the 7th day. So the people did not gather any food on the 7th day. So I just do want to pause for a moment, just because as I'm reading this, is he wants you to gather just enough so you don't have to work on for the next day. Like he doesn't want you to work on those 7 days straight, but give you that moment to not get up. He wants you to a moment to be in his presence, to soak in his glory, in his rest, and it's disobeying because you're I'm stuttering, overexerting yourself, just like how like we do, like when it comes to like greed, or things of that nature. Like we'll go against the grain of what God is ordaining us for it to do because we think that we want more than enough. And then it's like that's why I thought it was so dope as I'm reading this. That's what I'm seeing in my head is that that's why he's calling us to, on the 6th day, pick up 2 as much, a 2-day supply, and on the 7th day I want you to rest. And I think that was so dope. That's what I was getting at as I was reading this for real.
Right. And I think also it comes just like I was talking about earlier. This is the training part. And because you're foreign to this, the training is going to be a little more extreme. Like he told them, stay in your tents, basically. Don't come out of your dwelling place all Saturday. Like, that's kind of like, we're like, nowadays you would think about that and be like, man, wait, I got to stay inside my house all Sabbath? No, not necessarily. He had to do that with them because he had to hammer in and teach them that point. So sometimes when you're teaching something new, you got to be a little more extreme. For example, right? If you're out in a football field playing football, right, and this is your first year playing, and let's say the whole team is fresh and new, you know what the coach is going to do while he's drilling stuff?
What?
Again, do it again, do it again, do it again, repetition. All right, in between reps, y'all about to run. That wasn't good enough. You're going to run. Why? You're doing the extreme because you got to hammer this in. And sometimes, in order to hammer it in, you got to make things really uncomfortable to where they can get it automatically because they don't want to deal with the consequences of not getting it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I look at this and I go, all right, this is kind of like a little extra, you may think, about the whole with how he did them with the Sabbath, telling them, listen, nah, you going to stay wherever you are and y'all going to lay down and rest. But he had to hammer in the principle for them because you got to think, they're coming from a place right now where they got no rest. For 400 years, they've been in hard labor every single day. It's
So
been
they're
no rest. It's been programmed in them to work, and don't take a break.
right. So for them, it's foreign to them while they're doing this.
Exactly. So because you are extremely indoctrinated, yeah, into into that slavery that you've been a part of and for generations, because this has been your way of life and this is how it's been for you coming out the womb. You're not going to be able to sit still when I tell you to sit still because your hands are just, I have to do something. I have to do something. Let me go cook this. Let me go repair this. Let me go put this up. I got a Saturday project if I'm not working. Why? Because you don't know how to rest. Your legs get antsy and they start doing a little thing where they start bouncing up and down while you're sitting down. You have to, your hands have to keep touching or moving, doing something. You're twiddling your thumbs. You're getting restless because you don't know how to rest and take a break. So yes, he had to go and tell them, no, y'all not even going to leave your tents. Was it this way forever? No. But in the beginning right now, while he is teaching them his commandments, his statutes, his rules, his law, he has to do things a certain way, which might be a little more extreme because I have to override the programming that's been on you your entire life. We talk about how kids learn things easier than adults, right? So think about this. You got adults from the ages of like 18 going up to like 60 in this camp. All of them, the older they get, the longer they've been doing this. They can't sit still. They can't do any of that. You ever met someone that's a little older, bro, and they always got to be doing something? I've met a couple men that have been a little older, especially guys that are like, Vietnam vets and everything, right? And these cats can't stay still. They got to be doing something. They got to be doing some kind of project. They got to be hunting. They got to be doing something, right? Because the way they were brought up was you don't get rest. You rest with, you ever heard them talk about, I'll sleep when I'm dead? Yeah, because that's how they were taught and raised. And so they can't sit still. And it's the same thing as the Israelites here. They can't sit still. They can't take a break. They can't rest. They can't do these things. So God has to do a little more extreme because I've got to override what Pharaoh did to you and program what I'm doing to you now. I've got to show you who you are in me. I've got to show you my statutes. I need you to forget the way that things were there. As far as like what you had to do, I need you to forget that routine because now you have to adopt what I'm telling you. So things had to be a little different. Things got to be a little more extreme. And there was obviously going to be some growing pains. You were going to have some people that couldn't help themselves. Like he just said in there, went out into the field anyway, try to grab some food, couldn't help themselves. Because they can't, it's hard to sit down. It's hard to be, it's like you don't know what to do with yourself at that time. All right, I'm done.
Okay. The Israelites called the food manna. It was white like coriander seed, and it tasted like honey wafers. Then Moses said, "This is what the Lord has commanded. Fill a 2-quart container with manna to preserve it for your descendants." This is going to be like off subject, but after this, I'm going to give me some watermelon. Then later, this is way off topic, but okay. Then later generations will be able to see the food I gave you in the wilderness when I set you free from Egypt. Moses said to Aaron, "Get a jar and fill it with 2 quarts of manna. Then put it in a sacred place before the Lord to preserve it for all future generations. Aaron did just as the Lord had commanded Moses. He eventually placed it in the Ark of the Covenant in front of the stone tablets, inscribed with the terms of the covenant. So people of Israel ate manna for 40 years until they arrived at the land where they would settle. They ate manna until they came to the border of the land of Canaan. The container used to measure the manna was an omer, which was one tenth of an ephah and held about 2 quarts.
Mm.
Mm. Let me see here. Wow, they ate manna for 40 years until they arrived at the land. Wow, imagine eating the manna for 40 years.
Bro, that's ultimate. But man, come on, listen. By the end of like 1 year, y'all should already be on such autopilot of the Lord will provide.
Exactly.
Like, and to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
1 year sounds kind of long for that to happen. Like,
For sure.
bro, let me have God like literally having quails fall from the sky for me to cook, and then bread just pop up off the ground for me to eat for a month straight.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I'm getting used to that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
All right, Lord, you got it.
Hey, it's all you. It's
What you
all
mean?
you.
Someone come, well, you got to do this. What you mean I got to do this? The Lord provided. He told me just eat this. I don't need to do with that. And they did it 40 years. They were in the wilderness.
It didn't have to be like that. It didn't have to be like that, man.
Right.
All right. All right. Well, that's all I got to say about that part of the chapter.
Well, I already broke down basically 3/4 of the way in. So, hey, y'all, this has been Exodus chapters 13 through 16. We will be doing 17 through 20 next week. Stuff's about to get real good. And I do mean real good. And until then, we'll see y'all later. This is Big Mike.
All right. See y'all, man. This rock.